Interesting developments. It appears it's not just the city that
the
is
rand
suffering.
is suffering. Yeah.
You know, South Africa is in recession and their currency also not doing too well. We'll be monitoring that for you as well. Plus, have a conversation on the city.
Exactly.
And an important update on the collapse of the 7 banks. As you have heard, KPMG has sued the founder rather of the defunct UT Bank, and then 16 others. Also in Parliament, there was a probe, as you know, ongoing. Today, there were concerns about the plight of the workers.
Yeah.
We had the MPs that are probing the case raise concerns. We'll bring you more of that.
Some harsh words are being used, right?
Yeah. Anyway, you're watching Business Live. We want to move to today's running story. The Bank of Ghana is working on a guideline that will compel all financial institutions to have cybercrime units. This follows a surge in financial fraud from 41% in 2016 to about 42% in 2017. Now, according to the Bank of Ghana, the move, which will form part of the banking requirement, is to help curb the increasing rate of financial crimes in the sector. Ebenezer Sabate has more.
In 2017, 1,418 fraud cases were reported to the Bank of Ghana, representing 42% compared to 1,001 cases, which presented 41.66% in 2016. Attempted fraud same year was 190.38 million, out of which 160.30 were recovered. According to the Bank of Ghana, delays in detection of economic crime could have a significant impact on the performance of the industry. At a financial crime sensitization workshop in Ada, advisor at the Bank of Ghana, Grace Sotie, said as part of measures to curb the menace, the central bank will soon ensure that all financial institutions have a financial crime unit.
Also, the Bank of Ghana, in response to these lapses, has recently instituted a cyber security committee which has been mandated to launch and implement the Bank of Ghana's Cyber and Information Security Guideline. There has been extensive engagement with stakeholders on this agenda. It is expected that with the launch of Bank of Ghana's Cyber and Information Security Guideline, all banks will appoint a cyber and information security officer who will have direct access to senior management, set up a security subcommittee at the board level, and seek the regulator's approval before signing up with any cloud service provider. Regardless of the measures taken at both the national level and by the Bank of Ghana, the ideal approach to dealing with cybersecurity attacks is mostly dependent on the level of awareness and also on the amount of information shared among parties.
The workshop brought together all stakeholders in the cybersecurity and ICT sector to deliberate on strategies to control economic crime in the country. Head of Financial Stability Department at the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Joseph Franz, spoke on measures to curb the situation.
Next, we're going to deliberate as to the roadmap and follow up strictly the roadmap as to what to do, why the COCLAP in the first place fizzled out, and what are we going to do to sustain the COCLAP, so that all these integrities, because we are out there to expose the bad guys, and so what we will do, some of these we can put out there, so that there will be a focus group to deliberate on all this, then we'll know what to do to get out the bad guys from society. Well, that's quite huge. Before you employ someone, one will expect that you would have done due diligence on the person. One of the things that we have put in place, like we said, was that we've created a database so that you check with us as to the background of that person, what the person has done before. If the person is being recycled in the banking industry, what happened before the person moved from one industry to the other, then you can take it from there. There are other tools that we have. There are other tools that we have to use aside of checking the background to know whether you are employing a suitable person or not.
Okay. Now, transit trade at the ports has soared following the implementation of the paperless clearing system. Now, the introduction of the paperless system meant that paper documents would no longer be presented and accepted for the clearance of goods at the ports. Now, 1 year since its introduction. Stakeholders say although there is room for improvement, some positive strides have been made.
Governments began the implementation of the paperless clearing system on September 1, 2017, in order to speed up the process of clearing goods and to ensure order at the port. The system also aimed to improve revenue collection. A year on, and the Ghana Shippers Authority say the system, despite the hitches at the initial stage, has positively impacted transit trade. Bafo Feriata is a senior revenue officer of the Freight and Logistics Department at the Ghana Shippers Authority.
So the transit trade has improved as well. As we speak, we are looking at the transit trade hitting over 1 million. In 2017, we inched close to 1 million, but we're actually looking at it going up further. So it definitely has impacted on the transit trade as well. The seemingly delays that were in the past have been reduced. So most definitely it has had an effect, a knock-on effect on the transit trade as well.
But moving forward, the president of the Institute of Freight Forwarders, Kwabena Fosuapia, insists a governance structure must be put in place to streamline activities of various stakeholders involved with the paperless system.
Anywhere that this has been done, anywhere that these deliverables of the trade facilitation has been implemented or is being implemented, there is always a structure, a governance structure, so that every other person, be it a person, a department, ministry, agency, whose mandate crisscrosses the supply chain of international trade, they have to operate within a certain structure, and the structure must assume the character of a pyramid, okay, so that at the highest level you either have the president or somebody very close to that, and in our case you can see that it will have to be the vice president because he has taken a certain interest in the port.
According to Vice President Dr. Baumia, an initial assessment of the implementation has shown a revenue collection improvement of 56%. However, stakeholders say the system is still far from perfect. Hence, the Ghana Revenue Authority must work hard to ensure processes at the port is totally paperless.
All right, you're watching Business Live. We are taking a break. When we come back, we are talking the Ghana cedi and its performance. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Business Live. Let's do our main story for tonight. And the local currency could soon cross the dreaded 5 cedi mark on the interbank market. That is, if immediate steps are not taken to deal with a limited supply of dollars on the market. It has already reached 4 cedis 96 pesos based on quotes from some major banks on the market. Now, some industry players have attributed a challenge to limited supply of dollar on the market. So how do we actually deal with this situation, and can we permanently arrest the cedi, as some people have suggested? Well, Courage Buti of Data Bank is here to help us. Courage, thanks so much for joining us on Business Live.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, let's talk about the performance of the cedi. Is it a domestic issue or an external issue?
Well, very good evening to our listeners. I think it's more of an external issue.
Okay.
I mean, in this time and under the circumstances. We all know a number of factors affect currency performance. The level of import internally, the sources of supply, your level of export as well, how much of revenue you could generate from your export, and all of that play a big role. Plus government expenditure and the level of stability in the economy and how that can attract foreign investment. It appears that in 2017, 2018, early year, when the currency was really stable, it was the confidence in the macroeconomy that actually attracted a lot of foreign investment who were looking for long-term exposures to government of Ghana debt. But it turned out from the second quarter that sentiment towards the emerging market as a whole actually changed because of happenings in Argentina, happenings in places like Turkey, and then of course the rise in interest rates in the US, and then the associated optimism that actually came with those rise in interest rates and the firming economic performance. So typically a foreign investor who is looking at Ghana and other African countries would consider, first of all, happenings in the U.S. If interest rates are strengthening there and they are strengthening on stronger growth, they are strengthening on recovery in the general macroeconomy, they want to project how long is this going to go. Those are safer havens than our market. And so if they could get a 3.8, 3.9% on a 10-year bond in the U.S., they wouldn't come for Ghana for
So it means that there's
15%.
lack of confidence in the
Really,
market
so
now.
those things, not any fault of ours, but growth in the U.S., surge in interest rates in the U.S., and then, of course, emerging market woes from places like Argentina, Kenya actually spread a contagion through emerging market. And so you could realize that Q1, all African currencies seem to be performing very well. Into Q2, almost all of them reversed.
And the rand is suffering as well.
Rand is equally suffering. So it couldn't be an internal issue, principally. Our macroeconomy is looking good. Inflation is on a path of decline, steady path of decline. Growth is still robust. I mean, and a lot of other macro fundamentals are good. Our fiscal deficit is still intact.
Okay.
And so the change in sentiment as a result of development outside, external headwinds, is a major driver of what we are seeing on the market currently.
I understand you perfectly, and you seem to have touched on issues that are affecting the CD. But again, it appears that at a certain season, we see that the CD doesn't perform well towards the end of the year.
That's true.
Consistently, Christmas is coming, and it appears that people try to hoard the CD. So do you also think, apart from all these factors that you spoke about earlier, is it a seasonal issue as well?
So it's early days yet. I mean, the CZ's woes are normally towards end of Q1 and late in the Q4. Towards end of Q1, because that is when companies are declaring profits, they are initiating repatriation and all of that, and then importations during the Christmas, the letter of credits that were established are now being settled, and then the FX demand pressures in Q1 poses pressure. So you normally expect extreme depreciation in Q1. Then towards the end of year, Christmas period, people start importing. We are barely in September, and then we are even yet to enter Q4. Normally the pressures start from November, where you see Yuletide-related dollar demand around
So
November.
it could get worse, I mean.
Yeah, so it could get worse. I mean,
Hitting
going
five
forward. Yeah.
five cities.
Well,
we are praying not to get there.
Yeah,
but also, what dollar trading level will you say is appropriate for the economy, depending on what we are seeing now?
That's difficult to say because you don't, as a city, I can't tell the sources of demand and of the dollar and all of that. But we know that once Bank of Ghana has strong reserve position, and by strong, something that could cover at least 3 months of import cover, that confidence runs through the market that there won't be crisis, because if there is, Bank of Ghana will come in and intercede in the market to kind of shove the currency. So currently we have reserve in excess of 3.5 months, and then that should give some confidence to
all right, Carrie, so yesterday MTN also started trading on the Ghana Stock Exchange, but it failed to fly initially, closing trading at 75 pesos. I know it's early days yet, but what do you make of MTN's performance?
Well, I'm not surprised. Look at it this way. MTN wanted to raise some 3.4 billion also from our market. They ended at 1.14 billion. Everybody that applied for the shares got it. And then so naturally, you don't expect the post-listing rush that comes. Normally that comes when some applications are rejected and the people still want position in the stock. Then you see that rush, early trading like rush that will cause prices to surge, and then a lot of vulture investors, like, they try to take advantage of those kind of early listing rise or surges to make profit and then exit the market. But here, everyone that applied for MTN shares got it. Right?
Is it all of them?
Everybody that applied got it. That is really what it is, and then we got less than what they actually intended to. So naturally, it is those who probably wanted to buy but didn't have the money at the time that may be rushing to buy. Yesterday, it traded sub 5 million shares, but then today there was no trade at all in the stock. And price, early trade I had yesterday moved to some 78 pesos,
and then it came
but
down
reverted
to
75.
Exactly.
Rightly as expected, because everybody got what they wanted. You don't expect so much pressure in the
all
market.
right, so how will their performance, both positively and negatively, impact on the stock exchange, the stock market?
MTN is a good stock. Straight away, they come in and they raise the market capitalization by some 10 billion, from 55 billion to 65 billion. And then you expect that they, being a market leader, dominant as they are in the call space and then in the mobile money space, and then they have plans for expansion and all of that in the market. You expect that their year after year profit outturns and all of that will drive trades in the stock. It is still an interesting stock, so we expect it to be kind of perform very well on the market.
We'll keep an eye on the stock market to see how they perform. Thanks so much, Kaributi, for coming on Business Live. It's a pleasure having you. Let's move to our interview of the day, and insurance expert Chris Boedi-Mensah is urging the public to repose confidence within the insurance sector despite current challenges facing financial institutions. Let's hear from him in our interview of the day.
What does insurance company do? We take on risk from other people. And when this thing come on board, what you mean is that our retention level will go up and it will really help the industry. It's something that when it comes on board, it will help the industry.
Okay, so currently looking at the challenges that financial institutions are going through in the country, do you think coming out this time is good for the company?
Yeah, it is true that the financial institution, especially the banking sector, is going through a lot of challenges. I think it's just pure lack of corporate governance and risk management practices in most of these financial institutions. As an insurance company, our core duty is to manage risk for every industry. Our business cut across every industry.
All right, so that'll be it for tonight's program. A quick update, Sandy, on the latest to do with the parliamentary probe into the collapse of the 7 banks. We understand that KPMG says it's going to file additional suits aside from the ones that they filed against the founder and the 16 others. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But that'll be it for Business Live. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwao.
And my name is Sandra Sanamapin. As always, have a great evening.